So now, thinking of this, it's my honor to welcome Olivier. So Olivier, if you would like to come, please. So Olivier is an exceptional visionary. I don't know how I can talk about you. I feel a bit,
Don't make it too big.
Yeah,
Gives me too
I'm a
much
bit
stress.
shy. So anyway, so he had, beginning of in your journey. Let's say that some life-changing event happened, and then he decided to really make his mission to really change the world leaders, and really have purposeful leadership. And how do we make sure that finally we have human-centric leadership, and that the leaders will look into the world thinking of business growth, but with purpose, and really thinking of societal progress and having humanity in mind. So, I know you're always questioning what we do, and I think you're right. And I think by sharing your insights, you're probably going to elevate the debate, and we need to think of what is our role and what we're going to be doing. And I hope that with all of your questions, that group gathering here will have probably a set of actions at the end of the day we're going to be all proud of. So with that, Olivier, welcome.
Thank you very much, Emma. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Also, good morning to those who are with us digitally. It's a privilege for me to be here, and it is also quite new because I'm not a tech guy, which means that obviously I am, as all of us, influenced every day by tech, but I'm not driving the tech, at least not for now. I was asked to say something about what we do in the world, which is influencing what we call high-impact humans, to contribute concretely and substantially to a better humankind and a better economy. I'm Belgian. I'm driven by human impact. I'm driven by what I call noble purpose. I will come back to that in a second. Well, in a minute. It indeed happened that I started thinking about the essence of life, and I believe it's really very important as human beings, impacting others, which I take that all of you do, that we think of the impact of our actions. And so I created in 2010 GINPI, which is the Global Inspiration and Noble Purpose Institute, which is actually an enterprise that works globally, helping what we call high-impact humans, which are human beings like yourselves who have substantial impact in the world, but that we want to have a sustainable, positive, constructive impact. And we help them to reflect about themselves, about their impact and about their own noble purpose. We help them to reflect about their collectives. Collectives are executive teams, are supervisory boards, our boards of directors, our family offices. We work a lot with family enterprises, and who also impact the organizations that they run. When I was asked to come here and say something about the things that we do and how that would be relevant, because that's obviously what I'm interested about, how is what I have to say relevant for you, and maybe an input for your reflections of today. The big first question that I have here is the tech world rather a force for good, or rather something that is a dictatorship of what I call a dictatorship of control and exploitation? Do you want to be what Patagonia has been for a long time for the sports apparel industry, setting very high standards in what fashion should be, impacting positively society, having as intent to save the planet? Or do you want to be or to become an industry that is more in the principles of Twitter or X, driven very much by short-term vision, but having a huge collateral damage, I believe, on humanity? So that is the question to ask. What do you want to be as an industry? And what do you be as an industry in Europe? And I believe there is a huge opportunity in Europe to go into the first direction, to make a difference with what we see. And this is not a judgment, it is just how we in Europe have a huge opportunity to create an industry that is different from the standards, and I'm not speaking about the technical standards because I'm not well placed to speak about these standards. I'm rather speaking about the conceptual, the business standards that we see in the US or that we see in China, which I could say are the big drivers. So if we want to go first with a reflection of the tech industry driven by a noble purpose to serve society, so to be a force for good. Let me first maybe say what is a noble purpose. A noble purpose is the intent that you give to your mission or to objective as an industry, as a human being, as a group, as a collective, as an investment. What is it that you want to achieve? And we believe very strongly, and we have seen the very positive impact when you start your business, when you start as an investment, and you set a noble purpose, the impact it has on the people that work in that environment, on the return on investment, on the positive surroundings, on the positive impact for the long term is just simply massive, and it is constant and all over. So it is not in one industry it works, in another industry it does not work. We work with the mining industry, we work with the banking industry, we work with the utilities industry, we work with the fast-moving consumer goods industry, all industries that you could say are very much driven by a short-term profit-making approach. Well, some of these actors are really thinking that they want to do business in a different way, and they want to understand how they can do it by defining that noble purpose, by linking noble purpose with a sustainable strategy, by defining what we call a love-in-ship, a loving and caring leadership, and by having a very clear noble purpose. So I do believe, ladies and gentlemen, that it is also possible for Europe to go very much more in the direction of a noble purpose-driven tech industry, obviously embodying all what tech means, driven by that noble purpose. That means, obviously, that the leaders of the tech industry have to be human beings that have an intent that is driven by a noble purpose. So, those investing in the industry, and we had a very interesting conversation yesterday with Thomas about how do you define what is a good investment in the tech industry. All those who invest in the industry, all those who come with solutions, all those who are these amazing innovators, what is their main personal intent to do it? Is it to have power? Is it to make lots of money? Is it to propel society for a greater good? Is it to influence positively humankind? And let's be sure, and let me reassure you that making money and making lots of money is not wrong. Having power to help society progress is obviously not wrong. But if the intent is to have power, to earn a lot of money, not taking into consideration the collateral damage, then we're talking about something different. And that, unfortunately, is what we see, what we have been seeing the last couple of months. So I think it's a very good initiative that is being taken to have in Paris the summit, where there is all these reflections about where the tech industry could go or should go to. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to give advice. I'm just here to help you reflect and think about what you want to be as a European industry. So I have been reflecting as a preparation for this, and I have put down here some ideas in this perspective of the tech industry as a force for good. The beauty of the human empowerment. How can the tech industry propose much more this empowerment of human beings? Again, that has to do with the intent of the people who are behind the innovations, who are behind the driving forces. I have written down education and knowledge accessibility. I think it is incredible what the tech can do to allow people around the globe to have access to knowledge, to have access to information, to help people around the globe to be educated. Something else that I think of is that link between sustainability and ethics. How are, for example, artificial intelligence, sustainable tech, helping, for example, circular economy, helping green energy, helping transformation, all driven by higher values? I'm thinking of the tech industry as an amplifier of human intent. An amplifier of human intent, and that has to do with the moral direction that you're giving to your business, and that is where the noble purpose comes in. When you invest, when you create something, we had a dinner yesterday and I had the pleasure to be speaking with some people who have created their enterprises, and it was really interesting to understand why, for example, they want to create a platform, a new platform for cybersecurity. I have been learning a lot, by the way, about all these conversations I had, but it's really interesting to understand the human intent of the people that are behind the industry. And then balancing these innovations and ethics is also an interesting, I believe, an interesting point to make. How are these being balanced? How innovative do you want to be? But then how much ethical do you want to be as well? So what is going to be the driving, the main driver in that decision-taking? What I also see is that, and we see that, by the way, in many other industries. A couple of years ago, I wrote an article that I published, and it was as having the title, Noble Purpose is Not a Hype. And I believe that noble purpose is being used, I would even say being abused, to mask things that are behind, to use it as marketing, to use it with very different intents than what it is supposed to be. So what is the real intent of the tech industry and the so-called allowing people to be free? Well, that is what they say at X, allowing people to be free. But there is no boundaries anymore. There is no safeguarding around. So people can just say whatever they want. Is that freedom? Is that freedom? Creating all that collateral damage? Creating all that hate, all that disgust, all that disrespectful way of speaking about others or ideas or concepts? I'm not sure that that is freedom. And I'm researching since about a year the concept of freedom, because that is going to be a next book, The Human Condition of Freedom. And I think that freedom is all but that. Freedom is really something that needs to be controlled in a certain way, so that it becomes respectful and not something that is destructive. Another thing that can be dangerous is the centralization of power. We have been seeing that. Some tech moguls have become so powerful that they can do whatever they want. They are even more powerful than governments. They're even more powerful than supranational governments or supranational organizations. And there is a huge risk that we are gliding into the George Orwell's 1984 kind of approach, where we don't really know anymore who is controlling what, or who is controlling what for which intent. It's the same with the virtual finance or the virtual economy versus the real economy. The virtual economy is 5 to 7 times bigger than the real economy, but nobody really knows exactly who is behind the virtual economy. Do you know it? Do you know who is taking all these decisions that are big time impacting us? That is what I mean with the centralization of power. Another idea that I want to share, I have 2 more, is the what I call the automated decision making and loss of autonomy. When things are being decided for us. I drive a Tesla, and I think it's a great car. And I always like to say as a joke, I bought a Tesla before, in my perspective, Musk went crazy. But I think it is a great car because the car decides for you when you have to stop, when you have to recorrect the course of going too much to the left or too much to the right. But how far can the control go of a car? How far can the control go of things that we would or could implant in animals or in human beings? So I think it is a really interesting, again, reflection, making the link with that noble purpose and with the intent. And then a last thing that which I have called here the techno-utopianism and the risk of absolute rationalism or radicalization, is how can we control, or how can you control as leaders in the industry that happens? And how will you make the difference between other continents or other countries where that happens? So I believe, and that is the message I would like to leave you with, that technology as such is not inherently bad or good. Technology is a means to help, I would say, society progress. Industry, business progress, the economy progress, so it is there to support. That leads us back to the intent of the people behind, as I said. And that leads us to the question here, what is your intent? Why are you in this industry? Why are you leading what you are leading? What is your intent? Is it to support this industry to be a force for good, or is it to be a force for destruction? I would like to leave you with these reflections for now. I'll still be here in the morning and for lunch, so if you want to interact, ask some questions, challenge my thoughts, then obviously I'm very happy to do that. Thank you very much.